Hello, and welcome to another episode of our podcast. In this episode, we're going to be discussing Autism Awareness Week. So we've got some guests here to talk about various books and that are relating to autism awareness. So if you'd all like to introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Ms Toon. I'm one of the Depute Heads at Elgin Academy.
Hi, I'm Mrs Toon, librarian here.
Hi, I'm Holly and I'm in third year.
All right then. Well, let's go on to the questions. So, Ms Toon, what is autism accreditation and what does it mean for the school?
Okay, so autism accreditation is a kind of national standard of practice. It's the only autism-specific kind of standard of provision for schools and other settings like that. And it's really about the services and the support that we provide for autistic learners. And this comes under a number of different themes. It's about supporting young people in terms of their social communication, interactions and relationships, their functional skills and self-reliance, their sensory experiences in school and their emotional well-being. We've had autism accreditation at Elgin Academy since 2017 and we are assessed once every 3 years on this.
All right, and what is your favourite book?
I had a really good think about this and it was hard to pin it down to one. I actually really like novels that are kind of set in history or they've got sort of themes to do with philosophy or politics. So I suppose the best books I've read are ones I've read more than once and ones that I've cried at the end because I've been sad they've finished. So the one I wanted to choose to talk about today was Sophie's World by Justine Garda. So this was a book that was recommended to me by my history teacher. So I read it when I was 17, I think 16 or 17, and I was at school. And it's a novel, but it's about the history of philosophy. And I think I've read it 2 or 3 times. In fact, definitely 3 times.
That's a well-loved book, isn't it?
Over the time, yeah, since I was 17, which is a long time ago. So it's about a young girl who suddenly gets some messages asking her big questions like, who are you and why are you here? And then it goes into this big story which links into the whole history of philosophy. So, yeah, definitely one of my favourite books.
Well, I think we have to read that one or definitely promote that in the library. That's a great recommendation.
All right, next questions are for Holly. So, what topics did you discuss during the autism session for staff?
Okay, that's a really good question. So we discussed about how difficult it can be coming into school with girls with autism. We talked about terminology that is acceptable to use because some of the things that teachers have used haven't necessarily connected with. That could be the wrong thing to say. So it was really important for us to get that across that, there are suitable terminology for people to use. We talked about sensory issues and how the school day can really impact with sensory issues. We talked about famous people with autism. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
It was a great session. I was there and there was so many staff there and I think we all learned so much from Holly and the other pupils that were leading that session. Yeah.
And did you feel that this session was successful?
Yeah, definitely. I've had so many teachers come up to me asking me questions that they didn't really feel comfortable asking in the session, which is always really great to, hear feedback. And I think as well it's opened up a lot of people's eyes because especially when you're a girl with autism, you kind of just coast through life. People don't necessarily always assume that you've got all these background noises going on in your life. And now they can be able to spot these things and these girls to be able to help them, which is definitely incredible.
And what is the main message you are trying to spread in relation to girls with autism?
That we are out there and that even though a lot of us present as, I guess you could say normal, but just to show that we, are out there, and also that we have so many struggles that everyone else just doesn't seem to have, and even other people with autistic who are boys or who identify as boys they don't have the same problems or the same difficulties that girls with autism do. So it's really kind of showing that the stuff that's not really is recognised connected with autism.
And what is your favourite book?
My favourite book is Can You See Me by Libby Scott and Rebecca Westcott. So it was a young girl who was 11 years old, and it was about how she was going up into high school with being diagnosed with autism, and about how she wore a tiger mask because to kind of show the girl's mask, which is kind of like putting on a fake personality for everyone else to see and not really showing the true you. So I felt that was a really beautiful way of showing masking.
All right, and the last set of questions is for Ms Toon. So, do you feel that neurodiversity is well represented in literature?
Definitely now it's much better, and it really is wonderful to have such amazing books. We have in the library, we've got lots of books that reflect neurodiversity. They're also challenging stereotypes, and they're helping to break down stigma and embracing stigma as well. And they're also great reads, which lots of pupils are reading and enjoying, and it's just great to see them reading and chatting about it. And A Kind of Spark, which is by Elle McNichol, which is an amazing book about a young girl with autism, is about to be televised on the BBC as a series. So that's brilliant news.
What's your favourite book, either with a neurodiverse character or that has been written by a neurodivergent author?
Well, that's really hard for me because I like so many books, but what I would say is a Scottish author called Elle McNichol, who's written a book called A Kind of Spark, it's beautiful. She's an autistic author, and her character is autistic, and maybe some of what she went through growing up is in her characters. But she's also written another book called Like a Charm, and this is a magical story set in Edinburgh with a dyspraxic main character, and she's amazing. And what I loved seeing in World Book Day was so many young girls dressed up as the character from Like a Charm. So she's obviously a real role model. So I think Elle McNichol, I think, is amazing. A young adult author is Holly Smale as well. She's written about autism in her novels. We've got Geek Girl, she calls her character. We've got another Scottish writer, Victoria Williamson, who's written The Boy with a Butterfly Mind, which is a boy with ADHD. The Goldfish Boy by Lisa Thompson, and The Wonderful Diary of a Young Naturalist by Dara McNulty. And we've got The Infinite by Patience Agbabi, who is a girl who time leaps. So that's got lots of wonderful elements in it. So there's so many good books. And our book of the month at the moment is called M is for Autism, and that's written by girls in a school, and they all have autism, and they've written the book together with a writer about what girls with autism will experience, and that's a great book. I think you've read that, Holly, haven't you?
Yeah.
And did you enjoy it?
I did.
Yeah. So in terms of my favourite neurodivergent author, which I would say at the moment Elle McNichol, because she's great what she's doing to break down the stigma and the stereotypes, and as I say, they're also cracking great reads that everyone enjoys.
Do you have a favourite neurodivergent author?
I would say Elle McNichol, I've said, but I would also really recommend a book that Holly spoke about, which is Can You See Me? Which is just wonderful. I have to say, Holly recommended this book to me, and when I first started reading it, I thought, I don't really think I'm going to like this book because I don't really like her, the character. I was thinking, why did Holly recommend this book? But once I got into it, like about a third into it, I just loved it. I thought it was an amazing book. Her name's Tally, and she does hide her autism as much as she can, but it's exhausting for her. It's really hard for her. And she knows how uncomfortable other people feel around her, and she starts at secondary school. She wants to blend in with everyone else, and yet she finds it difficult. There's a boy in the class that's not nice to her. He realises that she might be slightly different to others, and they don't understand her, but she is hiding her real self, and her real self is actually fierce and wonderful, and she's a brilliant character. And it's written in diary entries by Libby Scott. And I think it will change the way you think about autism.
There's actually 2 more books in that series, which are incredible.
And I need to buy them for the library as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah. So yeah, that's from me. Thank you, Liam.
Could you recommend any books with neurodivergent characters or discuss neurodiversity?
Yeah, The Goldfish Boy by Lisa Thompson. Matthew likes everything clean and sparkling, and he likes to stay safe in his bedroom, and he likes to make notes about his neighbours as well. He hates germs, he hates going outside, and he feels that he might be a bit of a disappointment to his mum and dad, but when he's looking out the window one day, he sees a toddler next door goes missing, and he helps to solve what happened. And in doing that, he finds friendship, and he finds out quite a lot about himself. So that's a really good read. And another one I mentioned was The Boy with a Butterfly Mind. Jamie Lee wants to be normal, but his ADHD makes him feel like his brain's full of butterflies, hence the title, The Boy with a Butterfly Mind. And Ellen Watts, as the girl in the book, wants to be perfect, because if she can be perfect, her dad who's left home will come back. Their families meet up and it's chaos immediately, but they might have something in common, these two. And they realise, by the end of the story, there's no such thing as normal or perfect, and maybe being yourself is more than enough. So I think those two are great reads to start with.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming down and having this chat with me, and I hope you listeners enjoyed as well. So thank you very much, and we'll hopefully see you next time.